Hello, guys. How you guys doing? This is a good old Grandmaster Revenue, and this is the Anonymous Remote Network. Before we start, hold on here. Okay, guys. Now, I did a video on this last night, and it ended up that YouTube, for a third time, okay. Now, when you do a video and you want to set it up for a certain time and certain day, time, and just stuff like that, this is how it looks. This is how it looks in the background. The day, the month, day, time. Today's the 5th. I did a video. When I finished the video, it ended up like this. I wanted to see it uploaded and to look like this. How it's done. It's finished. I did another video. It's about the state governors need independent counsel to investigate police bullshit, and it's how it finished. Ended up. The time it ends up like this is when you choose to set it up, start recording video with people or by yourself. So we're going to start again, but here. About 26 years ago, Cobain left us all. Talented guy, great guitarist, great. I mean, he was the dude. He was the guy that helped change the 90s. He's the guy that helped change the 90s in a way that nobody would ever imagine how Kurt Cobain could change the early to mid 90s. I mean, the songs, when Nirvana was the band, dude, at the time, along with Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Blind Melon, Alice in Chains. These were bands from Seattle that really changed how music became what it is. And I mean, you can still hear some 90s sounds. It's been 26, almost 30 years, almost. And I watched a documentary that came out early, I think right around the early 2000s, or maybe even later or earlier than that, or maybe even later than that. The documentary was done by the same guy that interviewed Suge Knight while he was in prison. And so, I mean, this documentary about Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love was, you could say, in a way, controversial. Hold on. The reason it became controversial is the way. Now, there's been many theories, even conspiracy theories. If you go back and watch the whole documentary, and if you're a fan of El Duce, the bald guy, the now, I mean, Kurt Cobain grew up, loving music, very artistical, very intelligently, just really blew people away with his music. Now, one of the songs that really blew people away was "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and Heart Shaped Box, and wow, I mean, can't say it cannot. I mean, you cannot say that those songs were a hit. They were a hit. They are a hit, and man. So how could a voice that really influenced Gen Xers um, just really influenced Gen Xers, man? I mean, it changed grunge. They call it grunge. The sound from Seattle came in like a barnstorm, dude. I mean, bands, Pearl Jam, Lot and Melon, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden, all these bands, man. The sound of Seattle. Me as a Zapata and the Gits. These great bands, man, really came in and just like, man, nobody has ever heard this sound before. I mean, you could be a rich hoity-toity um, music producer, in your mind, I've heard better bands than this. Oh, really? Okay, well, here's a mixtape of Nirvana in the early days. Oh, here's this mixtape of Soundgarden during their early days, or here's the tape of Pearl Jam or Alice in Chains during their earlier days in Seattle, or here's the mixtape of Minnesota and the Gits before her passing. Let their music in your soul, man, in your ears, in your mind, man. I grew up in the early '90s, man. I grew up. I was born in the late '70s. I grew up throughout the '80s, and throughout the early mid '90s, everything changed, and not just for everybody else, but for me as well. In the '90s, man. This was time where you had gangster rap, and the '80s metal scene was gone. It was being passed by a new generation of rock. But this was completely different. This was something that the hardcore '80s rock fans never even heard of. And out of those bands is Nirvana. Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. He was like the Gen X version of Jerry Garcia and John Lennon combined. Um, he was our voice of the net. He was like the counterculture where you had Glennon and Jerry Garcia, who touched a lot of people's hearts and minds with all their music and shit. That's how Cobain was. His songs on Nirvana, really, douche, came in, and we were hooked, man. We were hooked. But in 1994, everything completely changed. It all completely changed. And how it changed that every fan, every fan of Nirvana, man, every fan of these bands of Seattle just lost somebody. It's like losing a member of your family, dude. It's like losing a member of your family, man. And it hit everybody. Not just in Seattle, but not just in the music scene in Seattle, but around the world, man. The sounds of these groups, man, they're all over the place. Um, there are many theories on how he died. What was the? I mean, what was the? Shit. Oh, what the hell, man? But it 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 became controversial. Became very controversial over the years. Bullshit here. It's, I don't know, man. I think that YouTube's fucking up here, man. YouTube's trying something, man. But the whole thing became very controversial right off the bat, man. For years, for years. Oh, what the fuck, dude? I'm using a I'm using a goddamn webcam here, man. I can't plug it back in. It should do. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I have no idea. It keeps going into this crazy shit. But again, uh, his Kurt Cobain's death became controversial for years. Um, and it became. Are you fucking kidding me here, man? I don't know what's going on, guys, but they're fucking with my camera, you guys. My browser or some shit here. I think nobody wants me to talk about this crap. Talk about it. Well, if it's audio, um, well, I mean, well, again, again, oh, what the fuck here? I'm using a webcam, goddammit, not a one that you plug in. It should do. I think we'll have to. I want to show you guys what's going on here. Um, Through my thing here. I'm gonna film it here. Go ahead and okay. Okay, video camera. Okay, go. All right, guys. Here we're gonna film this from this other half here because it seems that my camera's been they're fucking they're here. I'm fine, man. Just got this here. So I got my tablet here to still film this view here, and so we're talking about Kurt Cobain's passing 26 years ago, which became controversial, and there have been so many conspiracy theories over the years. Um, and it seems to evolve around Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain's widow, because of her band. She's from what was told and heard, and that she's very vindictive, very manipulative, very jealous person. Um, but there's a documentary about fucking goddamn it, about Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, which was I've seen it a couple times, and I mean the way it sounded like okay here now El Duce was another rock guy, and he was friends with Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. So you have El Duce, who's living in Seattle, and he knew a lot. He knew a lot, and he knew a lot. And what around 2 days after he was interviewed and asked, like, the same guy that did this documentary did the same one about Biggie and Tupac, and somehow he slipped up and said someone's name. He meant to say my friend, but he ended up naming throwing out the name Alan. And the question that I had was, could the person that could have bumped off Kurt Cobain was the same person that bumped off El Duce um, to keep him quiet? Because he said, I'm not going to say. He said, yeah, Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love offered me $50,000 to whack Kurt Cobain, and um, like, whoa. So they had him take a lie detector test, and he passed. And so, could the same person that bumped off a Duce bumped off Kurt Cobain? Now, I would think, okay. Plus, not just after Kurt Cobain died, about a few months later, Kristen Pfaff died. She was a bass player for Hole. She was from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She had her own band, but came to Seattle. She took out the rock scene in Seattle. And after a while, she started to change. Her family and friends up to see it. Her and Kurt got close, musically and artistically. Courtney Love got jealous. Shouldn't have, because she's married to the frontman to Nirvana. They have a daughter, Frances Bean Cobain, daughter of one of the influential frontmans of one of the influential bands. Nirvana, one of the biggest bands ever. But now the day he died, there was no prints on the gun. If a person had high quantities of heroin in their system, enough to kill them instantly, now here's a good question here. Was he already on the ground? Now, when he was shot in the face, or and then injected? Now, here's a good question here. They said he was. They said he was shot in the face. His face was literally blown off. Here's my question: did now the security guy, camera guy, the alarm guy? He said he went in. He found Kurt Cobain dead. Dead. The gun was by him. His face was, say, gone, basically. Now, what they need to do really is look into this security guy, alarm guy, because if he went in, supposedly went in and saw the body, now to keep to kind of clear Courtney Love of her part, supposedly, could the security guy get paid off? Got paid off by Courtney Love to kill her husband and to make it to look like a suicide, and then inject the heroin in his arm, a high quantity of heroin in the system, because they took for prints, right? No prints. The guy must have wore gloves when Kurt Cobain was shot. Was he shot first, then injected heroin, or was Kurt Cobain already overdosed on heroin, then seeing the body, then all of a sudden decided to whatever? But there are many questions that people are trying to think, what are wondering. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. No. Now the security camera, the security alarm guy was also friends with Kurt and Courtney. Now, people were afraid of Courtney. Now, why were they afraid of? Why were they afraid of it? That's the question. Also, here's another question here. When El Duce was interviewed, he mentioned the name Alan, and they added the name Alan something. Something Alan something. And he admitted to killing Kurt Cobain. Now, I'm wondering if he said it just for publicity or just to get his 50 minutes of fame, or is there more to this story? And of course, if Kurt Cobain was shot in the face while either alive or already on the floor, either overdosing or just overdosed. But if he was shot in the face, there'll be stuff behind him even getting hit, because there'll be also some pellets hit on the wall behind him. And did they check that? Just kind of have a theory, kind of a question, kind of try to figure out the scenario around the whole um, you know, just trying to get the question out there. So we're at 28 minutes and 5 seconds, but on here we're at 12 minutes 12 seconds. Okay, so kind of get two things in one shot here. So, but somehow YouTube is screwing up. Okay, I'm gonna save it. But there are many questions out there. I mean, all these different who's involved. But in the documentary here, her lawyer and a PI she hired doesn't think it's suicide, it's murder. And Courtney has something to do with it. Her own dad feels and thinks that she killed her own husband for fame, because Nirvana was big, becoming big, and her band Hole, her what's the concern? Her fear on here that her band, if Kurt left her in a divorce, in her mind that would tarnish her band. Plus, she had a brand, just a new member of the band, Christian Pfaff from Minneapolis, cool singer, good bass player, pretty. That made Courtney Love jealous, but she shouldn't have, because she's a bass player, man, a pretty cool bass player, good singer. And if somebody compliments your band because they have a really cool bass player who can play the bass and also sing, you should be jealous of somebody, because you're the front chick of your band. You should be jealous of somebody that's in your band who can sing pretty good, also play the bass. And plus, Courtney Love had this member of the band, a dude that's a member of the band, her band, under right around her little finger. Um, and somehow after Cobain died, State LPD just closed case automatically, just closed it. Says it was a suicide. It was a suicide. Um, you're sure it was a suicide because there was no print on the gun. It was like closed. They didn't really do anything on the inside, but just walked around. Didn't do that. Kurt Cobain was shot. Was somebody already there when he was shot? Then had heroin in his system after he died? Now, there was a security alarm guy somehow went in the house. Did he do it? Was he put up to do the murder? Was he paid off by who you love? Or was this Allen guy that did that knocked up the way? Because a lot of people in Seattle kind of really did not like how it all just ended like quickly. Now, in the documentary, they interviewed El Duce, and he had a band called the Mentors. Mentors. 2 days after, okay, 2 days after El Duce was interviewed, gone. He died. There's I could probably have a theory of minimum of 3 people involved. Okay, let roll. You know what happened? Are you from the Seattle area? Because because her lawyer and the private eye said it wasn't suicide. It was, and the gut feeling it was murder. And um, well, her lawyer found her bag in her office, and it was open. And she went in. Okay, here's the question though: if it was 100% suicide, how come there was no print on the gun? You gotta think. Okay, well, if it was suicide, how was it? If you had a high quantities of heroin in your system, how did he really off himself? Really, if it wasn't the gun, because there was no prints, there was no prints on the gun. Because if it was murder, if it was suicide, his prints would be on the gun. If he hit himself within those days, because she hired a PI, she hired a PI. Plus the security alarm guy went in the house and what was it? They didn't find him till what was it? A few days later. By chance, did was he sitting in a chair? I mean, there are a lot of questions that there was money involved. There was a lot involved if he left Courtney, and plus he went to their attorney to remove her name off the will and leave everything to his daughter, because why he hit himself for those 3 days. Well, but, here's a question I have here. If he hit himself those 3 days, and if Courtney knew where he was, I mean, could she have gone there herself and shot him in the face herself, and then as soon as he hit the ground, injected the syringe in his arm, and then left the scene, or or like the security alarm guy went in. But the thing is, to pull the trigger, you need to either use your thumbs or one of your fingers to pull the trigger or something like that. But the thing is, if you had that high quantity of drugs like heroin in your system, a huge quantity enough to kill you instantly, your arms would feel like jello. You gotta think about the physics there here. Your arms would feel like jello. You'll be. I mean, but here's the thing though. El Duce, okay. She went to him, offered him 50 grand to bump off for Kurt Cobain. Then all of a sudden, 2 days later, he was found dead. He was found dead, and he was friends with Kurt and Courtney. And then, while interviewed, he slipped up. He'll both He was going to say my friend, but it's spelled of name Alan. Now, even her dad is saying has a feeling that she killed her own husband because her fear was he would leave her. I mean, you got to think about that too. I mean, there's possibilities that she might have had him killed because Nirvana came in the scene. Grunge was what put the nail in the coffin of '80s metal and shit. And grunge in Seattle. Seattle was a sound of a generation of the early mid to mid '90s. Man, you had Pearl Jam, you had Soundgarden, Nirvana, Von Mellon, Alice in Chains, and a few other ones. And also you had Mia Zapata and the Gits, great band from early '90s, and her death was a good loss too. I mean, you had death of Lane Staley and Shannon Hoon, great voices of Blind Melon and Alice in Chains, great voices lost to a generation. And I was about 6. I was about 18 years old, just turned 18. Oh, when he died, and so on MTV got this, and announced that. Well, right after he died, her bass player mysteriously died. Her bass player, Kristen Pfaff, died. And her and Kurt were good friends. I mean, they weren't intimate. They were musically connected. I mean, he complimented her on her bass playing, her singing. I mean, he wasn't kind of guy that would just go off but Courtney got jealous. She got jealous, and I mean, I don't know why. I mean, somebody if somebody gives you a compliment on your bass player, you shouldn't be jealous. I mean, you're the lead singer and guitarist of your band you know, that's part of the grudge scene, And she wanted fame, Kurt didn't. He got tired of the fame. I mean, it's like when you become famous, it changes you it changes you from the person you were. My thoughts were, questions were full of questions, and but before El Duce died, he mentioned the name Alan. People were like, who's this Alan guy? The question is that the guy admitted in killing Kurt Cobain. Now, okay, now is he saying this just for publicity, or is he saying it to get his so-called 50 minutes of fame? And if he did do it, and it's a big if he did it, is he the same guy that bumped off El Duce, the lead singer of the Mentors? But there was no print on the gun. If Kurt Cobain had the gun in his hands, there would have been fingerprints. No prints. So here, but also another question here too. I want to go start. I would have wanted to look at the guy that supposedly installing the alarm, and he said he came across Kurt Cobain's body and the note and the letters. Now, Could he have been the real guy that did the shooting? Pl- Possible. Plausible, maybe. Who knows? Because he said he found the letter. The letter. Okay. The bottom part of the letter that Kurt wrote, or suppose they wrote, could be a lyric to a song, did not match his handwriting. Courtney had it in her bag while seeing her lawyer. Courtney forgot her bag. Her lawyer saw the letter, saw the bag there, left behind. Was it planned or was it by accident? Her lawyer looked into it, saw the letter, saw everything, but the bottom part of the letter did not match the handwriting of the note. This is the same note that Courtney Love read to the fans of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. Something did not add up there. It did not add up. There are still questions to be asked, to look into. But after he died, closed. Case closed. Now, I also would look into this Allen guy because after him and Court came close after Kurt died. Possible, maybe. Was she herself having an affair with this guy? Question mark. Who knows? Don't know. Maybe, probably. Who knows? Maybe so. Maybe not. But they were close friends. Could be whatever. But his name, the Allen name, was mentioned many times. After Alducci was done talk, when he realized he slipped the name, but also feel like he said too much. Kind of clammed up, turned around, walked away. Walked away. They gave him a polygraph test. He passed. If Courtney Love offered El Duce $50,000 to bump off her husband, why? Why? Kurt Cobain had a lot of years for him. He has a daughter with Courtney. No. And her mom got fucked up over the years. After he died, she got fucked up and drugs and shit. If you look at the roast of Pamela Anderson, she was all fucked up, and everybody knew it. She was all fucked up, dude. She said, "I've been clean and sober for a year." Okay, if you were, yeah, if she was sober and clean for a year, she wouldn't have acted like that. People called her out for it. Yeah, Courtney in 04, yeah, and I mean, if you say you're clean and sober for a year, you wouldn't have acted the way she did. I mean, she wouldn't have acted like she did. Even Jimmy Kimmel, dude, who hosted the roast, and everybody was like, did not know what to say, or I mean, she was all fucked up during the roast. Um, I mean, um, but something. So the way it looked is that she planted everything, kind of kept herself in the loop and out of the loop at the same time. Her attorney smelled something really fishy. Her PI also smelled something really fishy. Really fishy. I did a video on this last night. And I ended it hoping to see it on my channel today. But just check this out. It ended up looking like this. Like that. It wasn't no setup to look like this. I set it up to be uploaded to be watched by my viewers and my subscribers. And even you, my friend. And I mean, there's something really fishy about Cobain's death. The guy was ahead of his time, ahead of his time, musically ahead of his time. But how he died is still in question. I think that the alarm guy, the security alarm guy, installer guy, is, I think he was involved. But can it be proven? Don't know. But the the way he talked to the media, the way he talked was that he walked in, found this letter. Did he wear gloves? He said he found the gun. The gun had no prints. If Kurt Cobain used the gun, his prints would have been on the trigger. His prints would have been on the gun. But also funny and fishy that they had to close it right automatically. It's suicide. How's it suicide when there's no prints on the gun, no print on the trigger, but high quantities of heroin in his system? That's impossible. Highly impossible, because that's like if I had it in my system, my body and my arm would feel like jello. I wouldn't been able to. I mean, the way the body reacts to the drug, it's really, really weird and scary. So, I mean, yeah, in '04, my friend, Courtney Love was all fucked up, dude. All fucked up. If you look at the movie People versus Larry Flint, I've seen the movie. Great film. It was a great, great film. Woody Harrelson did a good job playing Larry Flint. Great job with her. And she herself did okay in the movie. Man. She wanted to be in movies and shit. She was in a couple of films. She was in Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey. about Andy Kaufman. It's a good film too. If she would have stayed off the drugs and shit after he died, that there would have been a kind of a wake up call. You know, um, but he even talked about that. He even now that the guy that did the documentary did a kind of a post, and he was interviewed, and when he came across Courtney, and when he noticed, he was kind of leery because he's the guy that did the documentary on Kurt and Courtney, and he got out of there fast because Courtney scared people. I mean, if you were jealous of your bass player because somebody gave her a compliment, what's wrong with giving a member of your band a compliment? There should be nothing. There should be nothing wrong with that. You know, if you, I think, be proud of your of a member of your band. You know, hey, yeah, I got this cool bass player. She's kind of cool at bass. I mean, you shouldn't be jealous, man. You'd be happy that you got a pretty cool bass player added to your band, help your band get far. But it wasn't until a few months later that she or herself would have died. Don't you guys think that's kind of fishy? Her abrupt death? I mean, even that guy who was a member of the band, Hole, kind of caused a scene at her funeral and shit. And wasn't invited. Wasn't invited. He was just acting like a fool and had to be forced out by security and shit, man. And even the bass player after she died came in and was automatically strung on drugs and shit automatically. This is kind of this is kind of like MK Ultra kind of shit. New Bammer comes in, get him on drugs, control him, whatever. Whole MK Ultra kind of shit. Get her on, get them on heroin, get them on whatever they're on. Easy way to control. Easy way to watch their moves, whatever. But it does kind of come into ask the question is why? Why? A lot of fans still asking questions. A lot of fans want answers. No. Huge questions. No answer. I'm a fan. I've been asking these questions for 20 years. For 20 years. Asking this question. Got theories and questions. That's all I have. I mean, a lot of questions, a lot of theories, no answer. Nirvana, one of the greatest bands of their time, and one of the best in my generation. I'm a Gen Xer. And even though he's gone, their music will live on. I understand that. Dang it. I understand that people said but that's what we're led. Now the question is, people have said he committed suicide, but what if it wasn't a suicide? What if it was murder? Because you could die of a drug overdose to commit suicide. You could, but there are still questions. Did he take his life? We don't know. Was he murdered? Nobody knows. That's why we have these questions. What was it? A murder or a suicide? If it was a suicide, okay, look at the El Duce interview. Not at, I mean, look at the El Duce interview in the documentary. 2 days after the interview, he ended up dead. He ended up dead after the interview. 2 days later, found dead on the railroad tracks. Yeah, he he's gone before his time. That's true. The dude was musically ahead of its time. Do I think it's suicide? I don't know. Due to the heroin? Probably. Was it with the gun? I don't know. Because you have to understand, if somebody uses, say, a pistol or a rifle, there would be prints on the gun, even on the trigger. I mean, you got to do the forensic thing here, man. I mean, if he did blow his face, if he did use the shotgun, his fingerprints would have been on the gun itself. His print will be on the trigger. But they said there was no fingerprint on the gun. The only way that he would have used the gun in that manner, he would have used something to pull the trigger. I mean, unless his fingerprint was on the barrel of the gun to hold it, then to have something just long enough to pull on the trigger, that's possibility. But again, the autopsy stated he had so much heroin, it was enough, highly enough, to kill him instantly. That's the question. That's the thing there. If he was able to pull the trigger, with so much in his system, man, I guess, I mean, as a fan, he was like one of the best of his time, man. One of the best singers, best band of their time. I mean, again, he may be gone from us as fans, but his music will live on. I mean, Heart Shaped Box, Smell Like Teen Spirit. I mean, I even heard the story about how the song came to be, and it was funny just seeing how the song "Smell Like Teen Spirit" became a song, and it was a pretty good backstory. And but I don't know, man. I just there's so many there's so many questions. All I'm going to say is all I'm going to say is that there are going to be questions about his death for a really, really long time. I agree. It did shock us. But the questions are going to be there for a very, very long time. And yes, he was a woke guy. He was a woke guy. A lot of singers and a lot of musicians aren't dumb. They can see um they could see. I mean, look at Jim Morrison, influential guy. They call him the Lizard King. Bob Marley lived a good life. Why he died, even his death came into question. He had cancer, but how did he get cancer? It didn't happen until he put on a new pair of shoes to play soccer. Something was in his shoe. There was a needle in his shoe. How did that happen? Many questions on how these people have died. I mean, Brian Jones, I said it. Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones. His death became a mystery to this day. He drowned. Okay, mysteriously drowned. And like these deaths, there will always be questions that'll be asked for a very, very long time. Long time. And that's all I'm going to say is that there will be questions for a very long time. It may be surrounding one person, but there will always be those questions. Will they be answered? Hopefully. Anytime soon? No. But as a fan, we will have those questions. But the guy may be gone from us, but the music will always be in here because we're fans. It the grunge music scene from Seattle, dude. It just, man, it was the hammer that hit the nail in the coffin of '80s metal. The music from Seattle will always be there and not forgotten. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Blind Melon, Nirvana. Mia Zapata and the Gits. I'm not going to forget the name Mia Zapata. She herself is also a lost musician, singer that was lost to her fans. Her death was cold for years until it was solved. The music will never go away. And I will say that. The music will never, ever go away. These bands should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of what they brought, and it was a great time. I agree with you. His death shocked us all, man. He was our generation's Jerry Garcia and John Lennon, dude. I'm a Gen Xer. No bullshit. I'm 44 years old. I remember the day hearing the news he died. I had to turn off the TV. And didn't know what to think, what to say. I mean, you're right. It hit us all. It shocked us all. It was like losing a member of your own family. It's like losing. I mean, just the idea of losing. You know, and again, so many questions. They'll be asked for a long time. You know, I mean, this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to stop right here and call it. But B, thank you for your comments, and you guys out there, thank you for watching the video. If you're new to this channel, please leave a like, subscribe, comment below. Hit the bell for notification, and if you got this transmission, you are the resistance. I'm Grandmaster Evan. Knowledge is free. Knowledge is power. Always stay healthy, well and wise. I love you guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.